May we now have the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Professor Santishree Pandit ji, to address the gathering.
Respected Vice Chancellor, Shri Chatpalli ji, Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe ji, Shri Nandakumar ji, Raghunandan ji, Professor Neeraja Gupta, and the Chief Guest Agus Indra Udayana ji. Andarki na Shatakoti Namaskaralu Vandanalu. Ellarkum Vanakam, Sabko Mera Namaskar, and good evening to all of you. I'm very happy that I'm the last speaker because I have the advantage. They have already told you some models, but my concern is more about, we write descriptive models, we do everything, but the question is, today Swaraj is under threat. You know, not only there is an international conspiracy, there is also their Indian partners. And this is very visible. So the question is, how are we going to put our narratives? We need frameworks. Swaraj is a brilliant idea, and there I totally agree that a civilization of continuity of nearly 5,000 years need not learn from somebody who was born just 200 years back. And if you see, they were picking up stones when we were very, very civilized. So the issue is, where is our problem? Our problem basically is that we have to differentiate that the Indian or the Indic narratives have certain unique features. And here I'm against any slogan that talks about universalism. Why? Because universalism is very complex. It is not as simple as the Western narratives give us. Why? I just want to give you certain ideas, because there are several models. You can have the Chola model, you can have Shivaji's in Hindavi Swaraj, you can also have Lokmanya Tilak's model of Swaraj is my birthright, or even the Sangam model of self-rule, or the Mahajanapadas. There are several examples, but these are examples. How are we going to put it into certain frameworks and narratives that will contest the hegemonic narrative of the Western narratives? Because they tell us they originated Swaraj, they originated self-rule, they gave us democracy. Most of you know that the Indian historians, for which my university is very famous, they say that we got civilized by the British, that parliamentary system came in because of the British. And India is democratic thanks to the British. Then my question to them is, why is Pakistan, why is Nigeria, why is Myanmar, which are also British, colonial territories, not democratic? So democracy has roots that are much deeper. You cannot transplant democracy or self-rule. The soil has to be ready for it. So I believe it is very much in our Upanishad saying of Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti. That is, we are the only civilization that believes in cultural pluralism and diversity. We celebrate it. And this is important. No other Abrahamic faith does it. It is only one book, one God, one sword. My way or the highway. So when there is no democracy at the cultural, all the religious level, how do you expect it at the political level? I think we are the only civilization that permits you to choose your own God. We had 3,000 crores of gods. You can be an agnostic and still be a Hindu. You have the Sankhya philosophy, which is more radical than Marxism. So here while giving you this initial thing, I want to raise certain issues, bring about the distinctions that we need to bring into our writing. Not just go into our culture. Our culture is rich, but the same thing has to be put into certain narrative. First is, India is its own distinct and unified civilization with a proven ability to manage profound differences engage creatively with various cultures, religions, and philosophies, and peacefully integrate many diverse streams of humanity. These values are based on the ideas about divinity, the cosmos, and the humanity that stand in contrast to the fundamental assumptions of Western civilization. I think this we have to make it very clear, because you can't compare apples with oranges. Hinduism is a dharma. Dharma is not religion. That's why I'm saying please Sanskritize English, because English is inadequate to bring out the depth of many of our words. Dharma is more a way of life, a view. So if you see clearly, it is a non-translatable. And hence I believe that the Dharma and the Judeo-Christian or Abrahamic traditions differ fundamentally in their approaches to knowing the divine. So that is the fundamental difference we have to bring about. The second issue I want to raise before you is, we have developed extensive range of inner sciences and experimental technologies. We are one civilization that is not anti-science or anti-technology. We don't say the world is flat, that a woman was made out of the rib of a man, all such things. Hence it is called Adhyatma Vidya, to access divinity and higher states of consciousness. So that means we keep evolving. We are not a point. And this Adhyatma Vidya is a body of wisdom and techniques called from centuries from the first person empirical inquiry into the nature of consciousness and undertaken by advanced practitioners. And I think the same is the case with Buddhism as well. And most of us, we don't even read the traditions of the classical Indian Buddhists of Dharmakirti, Nagarjuna, and others. Abrahamic traditions, in contrast, depend on the historical revelations of prophets who spoke of the collective destiny of the whole peoples and humankind. So here there is a huge difference. It's very important that when we talk of Swaraj or any of our concepts, it has a totally different, framework and narrative space that we will have to put it in. Second is the integral unity versus synthetic unity. We have an integral unity. Why, you'll ask me? Because we differ radically. Because please remember, science and religion is divorced in the West. They needed a renaissance. There's tensions split between revelation and reason. Whereas dharmic schools, the sense of underlying unity is strong and allows for a great deal of inventiveness and play in understanding its manifestations. There tends to be great diversity of paths and philosophical understandings without fear of chaos. Both Buddhism and Hinduism do not fear chaos. Most of you must have read the book, The Tao of Physics of Richo Capra. So if you see to a large extent, whereas there is anxiety over chaos in the Abrahamic Western civilization versus our comfort with complexity. The more complex we are, the more happy we are with it. And here if you see, dharmic civilizations are more relaxed and comfortable with multiplicity and ambiguity than the West. Chaos is seen as a source of creativity and dynamism. Ultimate reality is an integrally unified coherence. Chaos is a relative phenomenon that cannot threaten or disrupt the underlying coherence of the cosmos. Sri Aurobindo, the father of the spiritual Indian nationalism, he saw this sense of oneness, immense multiplicity, without the fear of collapse into disintegration and chaos. So nature can afford the luxury of infinite differentiation, and since the underlying immutability of the eternal always remains unaffected. Whereas, please remember, the Western civilization or the Abrahamic faiths believe in control or elimination, which we don't. We believe in coexistence. So hence our concept of Swaraj also would be very, very different. Psychologically, this is driven by the ego. Socially, it is a hegemonic impulse over those who are different. Unity is synthetic there, riddled with anxieties. Order must be imposed to resolve differences of culture, race, gender, sexual orientations, and by force or by the sword, which we don't believe with because we are very comfortable with complexity and with chaos. The last idea that I want to place before the august scholars is the idea of cultural digestion versus Sanskrit. I basically believe that a language like Sanskrit cannot be translated or has non-translatables. And it encodes specific and unique cultural experiences and traits. But the very form, sound, and manifestations of the language carry effects that cannot be separated from their conceptual meanings. It has an inner science. Tamil, or even the oldest language, Tamil, Sanskrit, become the medium of expressing a distinct set of cultural systems and experiences. So what I'm trying to bring out here is that there are crucial distinctions and understandings that are lost when we try to imitate whatever frameworks are given to us by the West. We refuse to challenge those frameworks. They look at the world in binaries, meaning either or. If you're not with me, if you're not with God, you are with Satan. Whereas the dharmic traditions accept complexity. Now take a figure like Ravana. You can't call him a villain. He's an anti-hero. He just had one, fault. He was a great Shiva Bhakta. The Shiva Tandav Stotra is written by him. So we don't look into such binaries. Rather, if you ask me, I would say that the dharmic systems are concentric circles. You can be everything at the same time. Maybe you can project different identities, but everything can be within one person. Aham Brahmasi. That is, the divinity is within me. So while having this, I would rather say that whenever we are trying to put in whatever aspects of research that you have done, I would rather say that it is very, very important that we bring in preserving difference with mutual respect, not by mere tolerance. And this is very important. That is why I don't accept this concept of single universalism, because we have huge differences. And here I would think ideas of many of the Indian thinkers on Swaraj, as well as the different dynasties that have done on Swaraj, has to be done. And finally, I would only warn all of you that we have had, many years of reading history, or our own. We are only told of the things that we have lost, not what we have won. And hence, it is very important that we don't read our history with self-loathing and self-hatred, or with an idea of inferiority. I think this conference is bringing out, in a way, I congratulate the organizers to decolonize the Indian mind. I will only end with what Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan defined Hinduism as. He said Hinduism is not just a faith. It is the union of reason and intuition that cannot be defined, but is only to be experienced. Hinduism is a movement, not a position, a process, not a result, a growing tradition, not fixed revelation. Its past history encourages us to believe will be found equal in any emergency that the future may throw up, whether in the field of thought or history. Hence, I would appeal to all the thinkers who have come here today, while that you have brought people from so many countries. It is very important that if we want to make serious contributions to change of narrative, and I also agree that India is the mother of democracy, because what is the evidence that Britain claims that it is the mother of democracy? That is the Magna Carta that came in 1215 AD. 800 years before it, you have the Uttaramerur inscription of the Cholas, which gives you a better description of democracy than that feudal rubbish that they have propagated as democracy. So I think it is time that we take such opportunities, riddle our mind, think out of the boxes. So hence, once again, I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity, and I hope all of us will think out of the box and challenge the existing narratives of the West. Thank you once again.